What's up everybody, Alex here with my second installment in the Bowman photography series, in which I am driving myself crazy trying to figure out who the photographers were that took all these fantastic photographs for the Bowman Color series. I just wanted to say thanks to all the folks that gave me such great feedback on the first video. I know many of you now are very curious, just like I am, so I'm glad to hear it, and I appreciate all the encouragement. So I'm going to keep going with this thing as long as I can. So since that first video, I've definitely tracked down some more information. I've got 2 or 3 magazines actually that are on the way. I don't have them yet, but as I kind of discovered in the first video, there's a lot of connections between the photography shown in magazines back in the 1950s and the photography used for this particular set, as well as other sets. You know, I've had a few conversations with you guys about other sets, including some early tops and other Bowman years that used photographs that were visible in this magazine. So moving on to new stuff, I came across a pretty unique item that's actually a series of postcards that were released in the early 50s. These are called Dormand postcards. They were made by a photographer named Louis Dormand, or if you want to get French here, I'm not sure what the pronunciation is. Maybe it's Louis Dormand, I'm not sure. Anyway, this guy was a photographer out of New York. He was based on Long Island, and he took a series of photographs somewhere between 1953 to 55 is when these postcards were released. And they were intended for fans that were looking for autographs from players. So as far as I could tell, there were 3 ways to get a hold of these postcards if you were a fan. 1, you could get them from the Mason Candy Company, which I'm guessing was a local candy company out of New York. 2, you could contact the Dormand Photography right out of Long Island and send away for them. And 3, you could actually get them at the ballpark. So these were probably sold at Yankee Stadium and the Polo Grounds. And so you could get 1 card for 10 cents, 3 for a quarter, and 15 for $1. Now what really caught my eye was the fact that all the Yankees players have the same patch on their uniforms that they do in the Bowman Color set, which means that they're probably from 1952. But the thing that really caught my eye was, aside from the Yankees and the Dodgers, there are a handful of other players that were photographed by Dormand, and one of them really stuck out to me, which is Billy Pierce. Okay, so I have the Billy Pierce card right here. Okay, you guys ready for it? Here is the Dormand postcard. Now tell me that doesn't look like it's the same day. At first glance, it almost looks like it's exactly the same pose, and maybe they just cropped in on the card. But if you want to get really nitpicky about it, and you guys know I love to do that, the Bowman Color card, if you look at them side by side, the Bowman Color card has way more light thrown onto Billy Pierce than the postcard does. You can see his face is way more lit up here. So they added some extra light because it was such an overcast day, that's my guess. Also, I drove myself nuts looking at his sleeves. Take a look at the ends of his sleeves. In the Bowman Color card, you can see it's all ripped up over here, and it's not on the postcard. So at first I thought maybe this was like a different day. You know, I mean, figure it's a 3-game series or something like that. They're in New York City. You know, maybe day 1 this was taken, maybe day 2 or 3 this was taken. So it's entirely possible. And you know, one thing that happens when you're looking at baseball cards, you're gonna see the same guys do the same pose over and over and over again. You know, like Mickey Mantle's bat positioning and his swing is gonna look exactly the same. So it's really easy to get tripped up by looking at the pose the pose is going to be replicated no matter what day it is, right? So I thought, well, maybe it's a different day and he's got a different undershirt on. But it's also possible that he had it ripped up here and maybe it was tucked in here. So not entirely sure. But it's definitely the same, excuse me, it's definitely the same location. Like, if you take a look, here, let me switch these over. You can see that the Bowman color photograph was just ever so slightly repositioned in terms of the photograph. So like you can see this building is right here and this building is right there. But the billboards are different. If you take a look at them, even though you can't necessarily read them, you can just tell by the colors and the shapes of them that they don't really match up if you compare them to the stands. That means it's not just a different day, it might be an entirely different year. After all, they said that these were from 53 to 55, so this might be like the next year. So that's Billy Pierce. Here is one of my favorite cards in this set, just because I find it really funny. Chico Carrasco with his fantastic, confused fielding pose. Well, Chico was also photographed for the postcard set. And this is awesome because Chico is got his batting stance. Again, at first glance, it looks like it could be the same day. You can see there's some light that's really brightening up his back, as if maybe the sun came out briefly, because it still looks like an overcast day. But take a look at his stirrups. They are completely different stirrups in both photographs. So that makes me think that the postcards for these Chicago White Sox players were taken on a different day than the Bowman cards. And so, again, I'm not 100% sure, but I have a feeling that Louis Dormand might have been around when the Bowman cards were being photographed. He may have been involved with their photography. Maybe he took some of these Bowman color card photographs, but I'm not 100% sure yet. But you can see it's like tantalizingly close. Well, I need a quick one here. I had no idea getting into this that this was gonna get as crazy as it's gotten. And I had this feeling that I've just scratched the surface. So before I wrap this up, I want to give a shout out to Brian Broth6, who is doing a subscriber contest, and Brian is asking for an item in our set that is kind of a standout, doesn't really go with the rest of the set. Well, I guess you could say that these kind of go with my set, but I'll tell you that I never thought in a million years that I'd be collecting baseball postcards. And this whole hunt to figure out who the photographers are has taken me down this path. So I feel like this is a good example of something that doesn't really fit in the rest of my collection, but pretty cool, and definitely excited to have learned about these and to add them to the collection. So I definitely recommend checking out Broth6 if you don't know Brian. Fantastic channel. He's a Hank Greenberg collector, but perhaps more importantly than that, I think Brian's a really knowledgeable collector. I enjoy his channel because I enjoy the way he presents his material and his thought process as to how he goes about collecting. So you should definitely check out Brian's channel. Okay guys, thanks for coming on this journey with me. I have no idea where we're headed next, but to me that's part of the fun. So thanks, the journey continues, the search continues. See you on the next one.